This is a special week, and we're talking about the ultimate for all of us. Where do we go after we die? What about heaven? What about hell? What does the Bible say? And what about people who've actually been there? Well, we've got firsthand testimonies, but according to a Harris poll, 69% of Americans believe in hell, but only 1% think they're going to go there. They're going to have some people very surprised. But do they believe in a literal hell of fire and brimstone? Bill Weiss does. He says he spent 23 minutes in hell.
November 22nd, 1998 was a typical night for Bill and Annette Weiss. They spent the evening with friends, then came home and went to bed around midnight. About 3 hours later, Bill felt himself lifted from his bed and hurled through the air. He landed on the hard floor of a prison cell.
So a strange story is told in a book called 23 Questions About Hell, and also 23 Minutes in Hell. Bill Weiss is here with us. Bill, good to have you. Welcome.
Great to be with you, Pat. It's an honor to be with you.
All right. You're a nominal church member, I guess. Are you more than nominal? You're a dedicated church member?
Full-time. 41 years I've been involved in church and ministry.
But before this thing happened to you, though, you were asleep.
Yes. We went to a prayer meeting, came home like any other normal night.
Yeah.
And I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning to get a glass of water. And suddenly I was pulled out of my body, like being sucked out of your body. And I found myself falling through the air, and I landed in this actual prison cell in hell. Rough-hewn stone walls, bars, filthy, stinking, dirty prison, like a dungeon.
Yeah.
Now, this was an out-of-body experience. This was a vision, okay? Right. I've never had one like this before, but anyway, it was actually a prison cell. And there were these demonic creatures in this cell.
What were they like?
Reptilish in appearance, bumps and scales all over their bodies.
Yeah.
These particular two were about 12 or 13 feet tall. There's even scripture for that, but...
Did they look like anything that you've ever seen a picture of?
Yes. There are some depictions that are pretty accurate. One was in Dr. Kenneth Hagin's testimony that John Osteen's church showed about a demon that he saw, Dr. Kenneth Hagin.
What did they do to you? Or did they do anything?
They were, first of all, they were blaspheming and cursing God. They had an extreme hatred for God.
All right.
They were deformed, twisted, grotesque creatures, and then they directed that hatred towards me. And I wondered, why? What have I done to them? But the one picked me up, threw me into the wall, tremendous strength. I collapsed on the floor. I felt bones broken. The other one dug his claws into my chest, tore the flesh open. You have a body in hell, but it can withstand this torment. And they had absolutely no mercy, an extreme hatred for God and for man.
No mercy at all?
None.
No.
Not any.
All right. When you were in this cell by yourself with these creatures, was there anybody else around?
At this point, I was alone, just with these creatures. And they began tormenting me. I did feel pain, but I understood most of it was being blocked. And the Lord explained to me on the way back that He did allow me to feel some of the pain, to relate to people that it's not metaphorical or allegorical. It's not a state of the mind. It's real, literal pain you're going to feel in hell.
Well, what about the lake of fire thing? Was there fire somewhere?
Yes, I was taken out of the cell and I was placed over next to this large raging pit of fire. This pit was not the lake of fire talked about in Revelation 20:13 through 15, but it's the current hell, Sheol. And this pit was just a huge hole in the ground with flames raging high up into this open cavern. And again, it wasn't metaphorical or allegorical, real literal flames. And Pat, this is where I could first see people. There were people literally inside this pit burning. It's the most awful sight to see a person on fire, burning, screaming. The screams were so loud from just millions of people at the top of their lungs screaming.
What were they saying?
Nothing. You can't say anything. You're just screaming in agony. There's no conversation. You don't get to be with people. You're kept isolated and apart. And the demons are tormenting people. You have no conversation. The smells are so foul and putrid, the most disgusting odors, and you're actually breathing in sulfur, and sulfur that's burning is actually toxic. So I wondered, how could I be alive breathing this toxic, foul air? But you continue living. There's not enough air to breathe either, so you have to fight and gasp for even the tiniest bit of oxygen.
What about water? No water?
There's not a drop of water. I was so thirsty, just a drop.
think that they would expire, that they would die, but apparently they can't die.
The body you're equipped with in hell, you live forever. Because, you know, we're made eternal beings in God's image, and so our soul is eternal. It won't die. You know, like the burning bush. Remember, you saw it burning and it wasn't consumed. That's something like what it's like in hell with your body. It can withstand these torments. And you want to die. I wanted to die, but you can't die.
You know, that's the most horrible thing when you think about it, just to think that there's no end, that there is no end.
Well, Pat, that was the worst part. I understood that I'll never get out. Never. And to know you'll be there for all eternity without hope. You know, Isaiah 38:18 says, those who go down to the pit cannot hope for thy truth. You have no hope for Jesus because it's too late for them. The decision's final. And that's really the worst part, knowing you're not ever going to get out.
You know, that just grabs people's hearts. I hope the people listening to your testimony will understand what that is. There isn't anything more horrible where you have no hope, no future, nothing except constant pain and torment forever.
It's the most horrible thing. People's minds can't even imagine the horrors of hell. Your mind can't even go there. Any one of these things would kill you. And the darkness, I only could see a little bit through the flames, but the darkness just consumes any of the light from the flames. It is so dark that you can actually feel the darkness. Exodus 10:21 talks about a darkness that may be felt. So that's not an exaggeration, because there's so much evil and wickedness in this place. There's no love of any kind. You understand you're never going to get rescued. There's no angels to protect you. There's no one to talk to. You're not going to get out of this place.
No one to talk to. There's no fellowship.
None.
You know,
none. You're not going to get out. You're not going to
people think there's going to be a lot of their buddies in hell. It doesn't work that way.